Guys, I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Guys, I'm going to talk about a story that broke day before yesterday, and it's involving this young lady right here. The lady you see on the screen, her name is Abriella Elliott. She was 16 years old, just had a birthday this month. She's from Hernando County, Florida. This girl was found dead in I think it's a nature reserve, Cypress Lake Wildlife Reserve, I think, out there in Florida. Stabbed to death, left for dead. And after further investigation, the police come up with this young man right here, seen in the picture. His name is Cameron Bell, and he's also 16. He's a boyfriend or ex-boyfriend of Miss Elliott. Now, he's locked up, facing murder charges for supposedly stabbing her up and leaving her body out there in the wildlife reserve where she was found by a passerby the next day. This girl snuck out the house, supposedly, I guess to meet up with some friends or meet up with him, and she never came home. Absolutely heartbreaking. Here's the story.
First tonight, the mother and father of a murdered 16-year-old girl in Hernando County are in shock and grieving tonight after they say Abriella Elliott was killed by her ex-boyfriend. This is Nightside. I'm Dave Wagner. Abriella was found dead yesterday in a nature preserve near her home, where the sheriff says she snuck out to meet the boy, now charged with first-degree murder. 10 Tampa Bay's Chris Hurst spoke briefly with her parents tonight, who say she just celebrated her sweet 16.
It was about 100 yards behind me, inside Cypress Lakes Preserve, where Sheriff Al Ninhai says the girl was lured and then killed by that 16-year-old suspect.
We could tell pretty quickly that there was a lot of passion and a lot of violence involved.
That's how the sheriff describes the final moments for Abriella Elliott, murdered 2 weeks after her 16th birthday.
It was an altercation with an edged weapon. I will tell you that it was nothing short of very violent. I will tell you that.
Her parents tell me the boy accused is Abriella's ex-boyfriend and that they broke up about 6 months ago.
Right now, we don't necessarily have any information that anybody else was involved, but we're certainly not eliminating that fact as a possibility.
We aren't naming the boy until he's charged as an adult, which the sheriff says is very likely. He's facing a first-degree murder charge.
The only history somewhat significant for this particular individual is a battery arrest last year.
Abriella left her home after midnight Thursday morning. Her body found about 8 hours later. Neighbors putting flowers at the entrance in her memory.
Just a waste of life, you know, for the young man as well, and especially for the young girl. Two lives wasted away.
As detectives were processing the scene, we're told a passerby came to them and said that it might be Abriella's body. That kicked off a 24-hour investigation, ending this morning with the suspect telling investigators enough for them to charge him with murder. In Hernando County, Chris Hurst, 10 Tampa Bay.
First, we are continuing to follow a news alert out of Hernando County tonight, where detectives are investigating the murder of a teenage girl, and they have made an arrest. The girl's body was found in a wooded area in Ridge Manor.
Fox 13's Genevieve Curtis spoke with the sheriff this afternoon. She's at Cypress Lake Preserve with the details.
Yeah, the sheriff says someone discovered the body of a teenage girl right along a hiking path here at the Cypress Lake Preserve around 9:30 on Thursday morning. And within about 24 hours, sheriff's investigators made an arrest.
When it involves a young person, I will tell you that it tugs at the heartstrings of everybody involved, whether they have children or not.
A gruesome discovery along a popular nature preserve brought Hernando County Sheriff's investigators to the scene, where they say a young teenage girl was killed with an edged weapon.
We could tell pretty quickly that there was a lot of passion and a lot of violence involved in the particular death. So we were relatively confident it was not a random act. And as I said, because she did sneak out in the middle of the night to meet with some individuals, one or more individuals, we were confident that she likely knew her killer.
They are not releasing any information about the victim, but they say she snuck out of her house in the middle of the night to meet some people. Detectives soon honed in on a suspect. This is 16-year-old Cameron Kubel, who now is charged with first-degree murder. Sheriff Al Ninhai says Kubel and the victim knew each other, but wouldn't say how. They also did not want to talk about the motive just yet.
They believe they have sufficient probable cause to believe that this is the charge of first-degree murder is appropriate in this particular case.
And the sheriff says right now Kubel is currently charged as a minor, but the state attorney could choose to charge him as an adult. Reporting in Hernando County, Genevieve Curtis, Fox 13 News.
That's the story of this young lady, Abriella Elliott, 16 years old, snuck out the house, and it cost her life. And I'm going to say this before I begin. Prayers and condolences to her family. And, you know, it's very upsetting when your children perish and it's outside of your control, especially when they're supposed to be in the house and they do something rebellious and it costs them their lives. The thing that I can't, you know, get past is she just had a birthday. Decided to sneak out, and I mean, kids do this type of stuff. So I mean, but my thing is this: why would you go to that place? I want you to look at that. Look at that. If you look at real close, the opening is that little part where you see the sand or whatever, and then all of that wilderness back there. Why the fuck would you go back there? Why would you allow somebody to convince you to go back there? That looked like a recipe for disaster. But then again, I don't live in Florida. I mean, or the area they live in, they might be comfortable with that shit. Me, I'm not, especially if I was being a female at it. You know what I'm saying? At the same time. Either way, man, guy killed her. And don't know what it was about, but he got a history of fighting on somebody before. You know what I mean? They talked a little bit about his past. I don't know if it was her or not, but they've been broke up supposedly for 6 months. So what was it? She was they saying like she was lured out there. So what, it was some other friends that said, hey, come out here with us. And then he just showed up and then they just left. Who knows? But I do know a 16-year-old girl's dead, 16-year-old boy's in jail. Like the guy said, it was a total waste of life, both lives. And it's like, but I mean, at what point would you as a young man, and I mean, I can't remember all the way back when I was 16. You know, you don't know shit when you're 16. But I knew at 16 years old, if a girl told me no, or she pissed me off, I'd go my own damn way and find another one. Or if it was that bad, I would just remove myself from that situation. Ain't nothing so bad nowadays to where you got to pull out a knife and viciously stab somebody. In the press conference, the sheriff's officer said, we could look at the wounds and tell it was like almost a crime of passion. So I guess it's where he stabbed her at, probably in the neck and face. You know that because a lot of times when people like you and they, you know, you reject them or so on and so forth, they attack what draws them to you the most. Go and look at a lot of these cases that I do that I really don't get deep into. These stabbing cases of people shooting people. It's always usually when a guy does this to a woman that he likes or whatever he was attracted to, he tries to destroy so nobody else can enjoy it if they survive the onslaught of this person's attack on them. Either way, it's messed up. She should have known better. But again, kids think they know everything. And I mean, this is something that's just a part of the rebellious nature of children. She probably turned 16, feel as though, hey, you know, I'm mature enough. And speaking of maturity, let me say this real fast. A lot of young people shouldn't be dating. See, the world's looser than it was a long time ago. I remember at 16 years old, you couldn't go to a girl's house, or you couldn't be alone with a chick. Young ladies and stuff was protected a long time ago. You know, you couldn't call the house after a certain amount of time. You know what I'm saying? But now with everybody having their own independence with these cell phones and stuff like that and things chatting and this and that and talking on the phone whenever they want to, world's different. And it's hard to really old school parent a kid nowadays when so much temptation is out here pulling them against you and your normal parenting values that are good values. to keep them safe. And stuff like this is the result, and it's heartbreaking. Like I said, may she rest in peace. Prayers and condolences to her family. I don't have nothing bad to say about his family. I mean, sometimes, you know, at 16 years old, rebellious, he could come from good people. But he's just a dumbass, and it cost him everything. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't show him no leniency. I'd charge him as an adult, and he get what he get. Under no circumstances at your age, at that time, somebody you meet is the sum of your whole emotional fortitude to where you got to do something like this. She's just a girl, and you just a guy. And you could have went about your way and not did that shit. But you chose what you chose, and you get what you get. I'm Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Prayers to the family and peace to the fallen. See you in the next video. Take care.